Здравствуйте, вы смотрите видео канала GameScope. Меня зовут Полина. Мы находимся в отеле Арарат Парк Хайятт, где сейчас пройдет пресс-конференция, посвященная фильму «Падение Олимпа». В ней примут участие исполнители главных ролей Gerard Butler и Аарон Экхарт, которые вчера представили этот фильм на премьере в Москве. А сейчас давайте посмотрим репортаж с этой пресс-конференции.
No, I thought the turnout was amazing, actually. We had a huge amount of people came, and the energy was fantastic, and they were very warm and welcoming, and they seemed really excited about the movie. And we were all talking about that afterwards, just what a great turnout it had been. I think we had 6 cinemas full of people, was that right? That's right. Yes. 17 cinemas full of people. So no, it was a great turnout, and I was very happily surprised.
Вопрос Аарону. Соответствует ли поведение вашего персонажа тому, что было прописано в сценарии, и считаете ли вы, как американец, что американский президент стал бы жертвой благополучия нации ради своих подчиненных?
Well, for the most part, it was what was in the script. We talked in Antoine Fuqua, I did when I first got the script, about what kind of president he wanted in the film, which was a young, athletic president who could take care of himself, a man that would have a a believable friendship with the Secret Service, that could go toe-to-toe with them. Also to have somebody that could, counterbalance the film as Jerry's character was outside trying to get in. They needed a strong presence on the inside. And we talked about, John F. Kennedy as an example of a president that suited the bill, that had a young family, had a certain charisma, had a certain charm to him. When we were down there, Antoine, as a director, he's a great director. He just let us, basically bring it to life and add whatever we wanted to, which was nice.
Следующий вопрос, пожалуйста.
Спасибо за фильм, отлично. С огромным удовольствием буду смотреть. Вчера веселились по поводу допущения американских кинематографистов по поводу нападения в Северной Корее и Южной Корее. Но если вы читали утренние новости, то сегодня ночью глава Северной Кореи Ким Чен Ын объявил боевую готовность. Армия Кореи направляет, чуть уже не направляет свои ракеты на американские военные базы в Южной Корее. И, в общем, ваше кино оказалось неожиданно пророческим. Насколько вы вообще сами, вряд ли вы этого ожидали, но могли бы как-то прокомментировать эту ситуацию? Американское кино не раз оказывалось уже пророческим, не раз само этого боялось. Могли бы какие-то комментарии по поводу сегодняшней ситуации неожиданно сказать? Неплохой пиар-ход для проката в России вообще-то, но ситуация серьезная.
Yeah, it's a very serious situation, I think it's, not to say too lightly, but yeah, without a doubt, this is life imitating art, and not the first time that Hollywood has made movies which have come to in some way be mirrored in reality. You always make a movie with the relevant backdrop of the current global climate. I hate to say it, but in the 80s, it was always the Americans against the Russians. If you made movies about the Second World War, around the 40s and 50s, it would be about them. Nowadays, obviously, with the threat of terrorism, you make movies about Iraq or Osama bin Laden or North Korea. So it was in some ways an obvious subject matter, but it's also important to point out this is not about North Korea. In this movie, we treat North Korea more as they're like a black hole. In the movie, we never really know what they're going to do. They're unpredictable as they are in real life. But this is about a terrorist faction who attack the White House. Their own personal motivations. They could just as easily have come from Iraq or from some country in Africa. That's what the movie is. It's much more about the themes of heroism and patriotism and fighting for what you believe in. But it's also very provocative because it touches again on what is the fragility of freedom, I think, that we have in society. And it kind of reminds us that there's always a threat, whether from terrorism or whether from rogue nation states. But it has been the subject of much discussion amongst us that it's kind of crazy how, they even just appointed a female head of the Secret Service, the first female head of the Secret Service to be appointed. And we have a female head of the Secret Service in the movie, Angela Bassett, and a lot of people were saying, well, that would never happen, female head. So it seems that I don't know, we have some people with crystal balls as part of our creative team.
Джерри, спасибо за прекрасный ответ, спасибо за вопрос. Следующий вопрос, пожалуйста.
Вопрос сначала Эрону. Мне, как российскому человеку, ситуация, когда президента захватывают в плен, практически нереальная. И хотел спросить, каково это было играть самого могущественного человека на планете Земля, которого захватывают в плен? И сразу вопрос Джерарду, который спас президента. Если бы российского президента захватили в плен, вы бы его спасли?
time to think of my way out of this one.
Well, it's a lot of fun to play the president. You know, every American kid wants to grow up and, you know, be president and live in the White House and, you know, have all the perks. It was a great honor to play the President of the United States and very interesting as an actor to be in a replica of the White House and the Oval Office, you know, that has so much history to it. You know, as an actor, we're able to do very interesting things and to ask ourselves interesting questions in the roles that we play. And so I asked myself, I had to ask myself, what would I do in this situation? You know, the pressure. As you well know, my son is in the film is not with me in the bunker, so I have to deal with all the human issues, and so there was a lot to think about as the President of the United States. It was interesting with the Secret Service asking questions, who would go into the bunker and who would not go into the bunker, because in real life, the Koreans never would have made it in the bunker. The Vice President and the Secretary of Defense wouldn't have been in the bunker with me. There are certain people who are expendable and who are considered not pertinent to be saved. So there's some interesting questions. It was a lot of fun to play.
Дорогие друзья, следующий вопрос.
Когда вы играли президента Соединенных Штатов, перед вашим внутренним образом, кого было больше, Джорджа Буша или Билла Клинтона? Республиканца или демократа? Ваше политическое кредо.
Well, that's an interesting question. Like I said before, Antoine talked about JFK. You know, obviously President Obama came up, you know, for being a young, vital president that had a certain swagger. You can always see him playing basketball. Jerry and I's character box in the beginning of the film. It's very important. You know, the great thing about this movie is it's not political, and that it's a movie about family. It's a movie about loyalty and coming to the rescue of the ones that we love. And the people behind the scenes, Jerry's character, that are the unseen heroes, and how important they are to the security of the United States and the security of the world.
Следующий вопрос. Прошу вас.
Скажите, пожалуйста, а как в Вашингтоне отнеслись к тому, что в фильме практически символ Америки, один из главных ее символов, Белый дом, был разнесен в клочья?
You know, I thought we were very brave. We took the movie to Washington, and we spent 2 days there, and we showed the movie to government officials, Secret Service, foreign dignitaries, ambassadors, political journalists, and I sat through the movie. I got to be honest, I was quite nervous, to say the least, especially in the 25-minute attack scene where Washington is basically destroyed. I started sinking into my seat going, oh my God, what have we done? And they loved it. I mean, they were applauding, they were cheering, they were whooping, they laughed at all the right moments, because the movie also has a lot of humor in it as well. And then we spent the next 2 days doing interviews, and they were the most positive interviews that we did. I mean, I think they understood the tonality of the movie. You know, that one, it's entertainment, and two, it is a movie that makes you think about, you know, national security, what, you know, the rights and freedoms that we expect that we perhaps, you know, can be threatened at times. And but they took it totally the right way. We also took it to the Marines, and we screened it at Camp Pendleton, and I was even more nervous at that one, and they loved it too. I mean, to be honest, I think people understand the purpose of the movie, that it is entertainment, but at the same time, it turns out to be a movie with way more meaning and substance, and it's actually a movie with a lot of hope. It's, as Aaron was just saying, it's really about in our darkest hour, and it doesn't have to be about America in the end, but in our darkest hour, how we unite as a people to face evil. I mean, this is really a classic tale of good against evil, and the heroes that it makes of all of this. So I think that when you come out of it, you feel, in some ways, kind of more informed, more aware, perhaps more vigilant, but also really kind of inspired and roused as a human being.
Следующий вопрос.
By the way, I would say the president. Just so you know. I kind of felt I had to answer that, that, you asked me before, would I, as Biden, say Vladimir Putin, And just to say that it's the job of a secret service agent to one, protect national security, to protect the people of this country, but to also to protect the politicians that he's put in charge of, but also foreign dignitaries. So again, this is a movie right against evil, and it's it would be protecting any president or any official in this capacity, because this movie could just as easily be about an attack in the Kremlin, in the White House, and could be about any other country. It's an attack on us as humans, but I would save them. I would kick their asses. I'm not good.
Вы очень органично смотрели сейчас на фотографию вместе, очень органично смотрелись в фильме, также вместе, когда у вас были какие-то сцены, особенно в начале фильма, это было очень душевно, очень красиво. Хотели бы вы еще сняться где-то вместе, и первый ли это ваш опыт совместно с Илоном по фильму на тот момент?
It's the first time we did a film together. I would love to work with Aaron again. Oh, he said. I would love to do a movie with Aaron again, but I don't think he wants to work with me again. No, I have to say, this. Because I produced this movie, and when I took it to Antoine, I thought he was the perfect guy to direct it, and the first person we talked about of all the cast that we wanted was Aaron to play the president. And when he said yes, this became a movie, and it became a legitimate movie with a touch of class to it. And then having Antoine and having Aaron, Morgan Freeman followed, and Angela Bassett and Melissa Leo. So, one, in terms of, even kind of politically, economically, or just getting your movie made, bringing Aaron on board was fantastic, and working with him was incredible. He gave so much. That was not an easy role to play, to play the president, and really I was so impressed with just how much he put in every moment, because it's all so fraught and intense, and you've got to stay in it. Or you don't have to stay in it, but if you really want to give a truthful, powerful performance, then you do it. He stayed in it more than anybody.
Thank you, Jerry. Yeah, it was, now I'll give him some compliments. It's fun to find people that you admire to work with, and in Hollywood to work with people over and over and get to know each other better and better. It deepens and enriches performances, and so that would always be something that I would look forward to. Like Jerry said, he's a producer in this movie and had a lot on his hands, and you can tell how passionate he is about the film, which is very important. And when you're an actor on a movie, to know that there's someone like Jerry who is so passionate about the film is very meaningful. It's always good to have skin in the game. So we're right now, I'm about to say something I shouldn't say, I'm sorry. But it was a lot of fun.
Thank you for stopping here. Следующий вопрос, пожалуйста.
У меня вопрос к Джерри Батлеру. Какие фильмы до Олимпуса произвели на вас самое глубокое эмоциональное впечатление и почему? Ваши фильмы? Может быть, не один, два. Почему? Спасибо.
going to make a list. I don't know. I always try to. Whenever I make a movie, I always make a movie that touches me, my soul, even if it's comedic, but that it has a heart and a message, and it's really quite emotional at the end of the day. And sometimes that's paid off, and sometimes it's fallen flat in its face, you know, and you feel you've been a little naive about your decisions. But I think the movie Phantom of the Opera, I found a very emotional experience, and I think that people either didn't get it, but if they did get it, they really got the pain and tragedy and longing of that character. But I think that the movie that I was most by was 300, you know, because it just encapsulated a real, you know, it themes not unlike this movie, about honor and sacrifice and courage. An absolute willingness to die for what you believe in, no matter what the cost. And again, about unity and working together. Really a kind of classic mythical hero's journey. And I know that in this movie, Antoine's favorite movie and my favorite movie, and I'm going to say Aaron's even though I don't know if it is Apocalypse Now. I'm just going to make up things about it. And you know, again, they touch on very similar themes, but probably my most favorite is
Пожалуйста, следующий вопрос.
Хотела вас в первую очередь поблагодарить за вчерашнее. Молодцы, справились. Очень большое спасибо, Аарону. Вы были так любвеобильны с фанатами. Спасибо большое за ваше внимание. Я хотела бы обратить внимание Джерри. Yesterday photo. Thanks for signing. You're here in this photo. Yeah, заговорил по-английски, извините. В хорошей форме.
Did I draw an arrow down in my ass?
She gave me, that's a back shot of me in Law Abiding Citizen, and she gave me that last night, and I drew an arrow pointing down in my ass. I just saw that there.
Собственно, мой вопрос о форме. Как вы готовились к данному фильму? И я слышала вчера в вашем интервью Ване, что вы даже были с мастером Винчуй, работали с мастером Винчуй. Вот интересно, как пригодился вам этот опыт в данном случае? И если вы решите ответить на этот вопрос, очень волнует ваших фанатов. Почему вы в последние буквально недели очень сильно страдали?
I have an announcement to make. You know what? I get big for roles. You know, when I train, I pump up, and then when I'm not filming, then I don't train as much. And recently, when I've been training, I've been trying to slim down and use bands, stop using weights, you know, and use more bands and aerobics. You know, just to be honest, I prefer being slimmer. You know, being incredibly vain, I feel I look younger. When I look at me when I'm bigger, I'm kind of like, okay. Anyway, enough of the girl talk. But when you're playing, you know, say for instance in 300 of this movie, you want to be big. You want to feel big and strong and imposing. But I don't want to be that for every role. You know, if you're playing a typical character, then, you know, sometimes being kind of large and muscular, it detracts from the character. So I prefer being this size. But for this movie, I did, because I want to be, whatever I do, I really want to be very, very proficient in whatever that is, and try and make it memorable. So for the fighting, we had Navy SEALs who were so badass. I mean, these guys are extremely violent and extremely talented and very adept in various martial arts. And I had been doing some Wing Chun myself. And yeah, we used some of those moves in there. But I also worked with the SWAT team and worked with other martial artists, and the stunt guys that were all martial artists. And
I've done a lot of action roles, so you get into a rhythm of action and a style of fighting, and in each movie you try and adapt and kind of say, what can I say about this character? So whenever they would show me moves, like the first move, there's a cut and a slice, and I said, no, I'm just going to stab him 5 times in the heart as quick as I can, you know. And you kind of, you know, and the same with the knife and the skull, you kind of, I hate to say it, it's weird to say, but in a movie it's very entertaining to make these deaths. Even in Law Abiding Citizen, we were trying to work out how to kill the judge, and I said, bomb in the cell phone, blow her head off. This is weird. But anyway, so you think of interesting ways to surprise people and make it, and show, for instance, with this guy, show how brutal and how kind of, how cold-blooded he can be. Sometimes it's interesting to really try and make the villain more ruthless than the villains themselves. Then as an audience, because you're paying for blood, after this attack you're paying for blood, and you need to see somebody enforce the law. Yeah.
Андрей, пожалуйста. Доброе утро. Доброе утро, меня зовут Андрей. Я передумал портить вам утро. У меня был первый вопрос. Смотрел ли Роланд Эммерих ваше кино и как отреагировал на первый уикенд? Но я решил не портить солнечное утро. И скорее спросить присутствующего с русской стороны господина Манасаряна об ожиданиях в прокате, в русском прокате, тем более, что такой громкий приезд точно должен на него повлиять. И собираетесь ли вы превзойти результат «Крепкого орешка 5», так как «Падение Олимпа», по-моему, это реинкарнация первого «Крепкого орешка» во всей его красе? Спасибо.
Спасибо за вопрос. Я надеюсь, ожидания оправдываются. С приездом наших гостей, да, и наши гости, и много фильмов достаточно известны в России, даже любимы. Да, времена Брюса Уиллиса уже постепенно уходят. Крепкий орешек уже недостаточно крепкий. А в этом фильме использованы все пиар-акты, вплоть до того, что все вратари уже сказали. Я надеюсь, что перезайдем.
Сегодняшнее заявление Северной Кореи об американской базах — это начало промо-компании?
Да, конечно.
Прошу вас, пожалуйста.
У меня, собственно, вопрос и к Джераду, и к Аарону. Джерард вчера упоминал, что он второй раз в Москве. Коллеги интересуются, как сложился вчера ваш вечер, если у вас любимые места здесь, и, собственно, женская часть аудитории интересовалась, есть ли у вас планы на сегодняшний вечер.
Well, Aaron and I are going to the, where are we going? I'll tell you later. Where did we go last night? I'm not very good with names, but we went to a restaurant which was very, very beautiful. But we all talked so much that after 2 hours we still hadn't ordered any food, and then when my steak came I wasn't hungry, so I had 2 bites, and then we went somewhere for a drink, which was really cool too, but I can't remember the name of that either. Oh no, we also ended up in an art installation looking over the river to the Russian Orthodox Church, you know, where the Pussy, what do you call it? Pussy, the girls that ran in there, we were right across there at this kind of architectural institute at 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't know why we were there, but it was to me, these are the trips that are like cool. You know, we were with some like Russian artists, and they were drinking vodka and eating cheese, and they took us up and looked over the river into the church, and one of them was walking about with a pram with nothing in it. So I'm like, okay, these are the, for me, when you travel in a tour, you kind of experience other cultures, and this is what I love, that stuff.
The second part of the question.
You're going to ask me what we know about the Ukraine. I got to say, driving around, past Red Square and the Kremlin, and the architecture here is incredible. But at night, I got to say, during the day, stuck in traffic here, it's tough. That's hard to deal with. But when you're driving through here at night, it is so breathtaking that this whole area, I think, is fantastic. I mean, I love the atmosphere in Moscow. I think it's an incredible city. I'm really happy when I'm here. So, Aaron, you say something.
Следующий вопрос, пожалуйста, дорогие друзья. Я думаю, что Аарон присоединяется ко всему, что сказал Джерри о Москве. Прошу вас. Это последний вопрос, скорее.
У меня первый вопрос к Джерарду. Редкий фильм с вашим участием обходится без намека на ваше происхождение. Что такого фирменного шотландского вы принесли в эту роль? И вопрос к Аарону. Вы всегда понимали, о чем он говорит?
I don't understand what I'm saying half the time. I don't know how Aaron could. What was your? Most of my movies have something to do with my Scottish origin. Did you say?
Вопрос был о том, что из своего шотландского происхождения вы стараетесь перенести в каждую свою роль, и что из своего происхождения вы принесли в эту роль. Из шотландского характера, может быть, из шотландских традиций. Если акцент, шутки, манера поведения.
But I mean, yeah. At the end of the day, I bring all of me to the character, and I mean, coming from Scotland, I think that they're incredibly passionate, courageous, fighting race. The Scots have a history of fighting. From everybody, from the Normans to the Vikings and the Romans. In fact, they're the only people that kicked the Romans out. They had to build a wall at the border of England to keep out the Scots. They went into Scotland and then they came out of Scotland because they couldn't handle us. So, and I used those. I used that feeling, that energy that it gives you. I used it in 300. And then I used it in this, but you learn to use it in different ways. And then also I think Scottish people have a great sense of humor. And that was important in this movie, was to bring in some humor into that character. And never relying on it. That's the difference with Die Hard. I think it's, there's a lot of Die Hard in this movie, but it's not yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. It comes much more out of the reality of the situation. It's not playing for laughs. But there's a lot of humor there. It's that gallows humor, as we call it. So I definitely brought a lot of that in.
Спасибо большое Джерарду, Аарону и Армену за прекрасные ответы. И есть подарок, который Джерарду хотят преподнести наши коллеги. Внимание.
Is it money?
Не совсем. Где же он? Расступитесь, пожалуйста.
Мы очень молодые, нам всего 2 месяца. Это мое первое, выступление. Я хочу пригласить вас в Санкт-Петербург. И мы дали нам книгу о кинематографе Санкт-Петербурга.
By the way, Russian art is one of my favorite movies of all time. You guys need to know Russian art. What an amazing movie Opus Has Fallen. It just reminded me. Thank you. Thank you.
Коллеги, большое спасибо.
Пожалуйста.
Thank you. Mr. Butler. Okay, hold on, guys. I'm coming. See, when I sign it, can you guys move back just to let other people in?
Whenever you want.
Come again. Thank you so much for coming. Come again. Have you been to the metro station, historical metro station in Moscow?
No.
Did you decide you have to do it?
Все, ребят, времени нет. To be honest, we're like all day doing interviews.
I understand, yes, but anyway, if you will be unofficial, I'm really telling you, because metro station is very, very beautiful, historical, and you will see it on the ceiling, and it will be very,
Really?
it's very interesting.
It's
But don't go in metro station, and it's, you know, traffic crime.
Давай просто сфотографируемся.
I think I have to go, guys. I'm sorry. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for this present. Mr. Butler.